Hey everyone, Internet DCS Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about Apostle of Mercy by Lindsay Ellis. Welcome to the Last of the Numena trilogy by Lindsay Ellis. If this is a trilogy, I haven't actually started reading it after all. Before we get into this book, in the previous book, the government who have used fear-mongering and propaganda almost managed to push humanity to agree to make the aliens a second-class citizen or third personhood in the story, but they lost most of their combat alien with Nicola seemingly dead in the last book, and Ampersand decided to live with Cora because they no longer see any point in staying there. And that's while they are facing the potential threat of a War of the Worlds scenario where the aliens are coming to perform some ethnic cleansing for them. And now this book opens in the Philippines with a monster chasing a young man named Lorenzo. Because of his panic after seeing the monster kill his friends, he ran towards his home, causing the monster to attack not only him, but all the other villagers including his dad who is now dead because of this. Lorenzo survived and together the villagers managed to kill the monster, but all that guilt of causing the death of his friend, his neighbor and his dad will sit on him from now on. More than a year has passed since the death of Kafes Masandarani, the journalist who becomes Cora's boyfriend in the previous book, and his friend Paris has finally managed to track down Cora and ask her to meet so she can make sure what happened to cause the death of their friend Cafe, and they're now meeting at a bar. During the 1 year, Paris has gone freelance. The third option that categorized Alien as a second-class citizen was temporarily paused because of Cafe's posthumous article, and Ampersand, who now got the legal name Jude, went to Japan and stayed there with the help of a random Japanese billionaire. But more importantly for Paris, what she wanted access to is not Cora or Jude, but Nicola, who surprisingly is still alive despite the event from the second book. Aliens surviving their death on sequels is becoming a pattern here. I really hope this book is the last one where this happened. Paris found some of Cafe's personal notes, and in one of those notes was some notes written by Nicola. So to find out what those notes mean, she need to meet Nicola, who is currently on America custom-made institution built just for him. Also during the year, Julian, who has become the president of United States with the backing of Diaz Ortega, has been pumping all of the state budget into the military in a futile effort to prepare themselves to fight an alien Armageddon. Paris wanted to stop that idea by introducing a new method that is more nuanced than gun blazing into a losing battle, because one, it's the only chance to survive, and also two, it would be what Cafe would have wanted. But Cora, who have grown bitter during the passing time, refused, and while Paris was about to talk more to her, a message from Ampersand came asking for Cora to visit him. Cora went to Japan again to where Ampersand lives using the upgrade that Ampersand has installed on her body. And for today, he wanted to equip her with an anti-pulse so they would be better equipped to handle the EMP attack that were used to cripple the aliens. It is in preparation for them leaving Earth, and also a preparation for Ampersand to make Cora able to do the high language, the third language that the race used that is said to transcend the need for language. The experiment can be considered a success, but what Cora witnessed was something eldritch that makes her not want to continue the experiment for a while. On the meantime, there are people who she realizes she cares about. Her aunt Juliana and her sister Olive, who is absent in the second book, is back in the story. Cora still cares about them despite wanting to abandon everyone and everything and leaves Earth, so she decided to try to help Paris. She contacted her aunt Juliana and they arranged a meeting for Paris with Nicola. Cora met again with Paris at a college where she was teaching a student about CPR. They talked about the Nicola interview and bonded over Nicola, Cafe, and surprisingly Princess Mononoke. Paris left and one of her students came to Cora asking about Pisaterin, the sister alien race of the superorganism that was supposed to have been eradicated. There were some survivors and they had been living in Philippines, and they were the monster that appeared at the start of the book 4 years ago, way before Ampersand arrived on Earth. The next day, Paris went to meet with Nicola with the help of Juliana. She's now our second protagonist in the story. Like Cafe in the second book, we follow not just Cora's perspective, but also her perspective. We didn't have much time with her this time around though, because Nicola attacked her when she tried to read Cafe's article to him, sending her to the hospital. But eventually, Nicola changed his mind and decided to call for Paris to come and did the interview if she brings Cafe's document to him. After a long talk, Paris managed to convince Nicola that talking to her might give him a chance to convince people that he is of sound mind and it's okay to euthanize him. She met with the editor-in-chief in the New York Times with Cora, and they agreed to let her write a piece that can convince people about an alternative route beside war that is doomed to fail. But when they are on their way back home, they meet Niels. The opportunistic snake has been allowed to be back in the state, and he is planning for something with the current president. Paris then took Cora to a drink to cheer her up from seeing that scumbag of a father, and they decided to go out with each other for now. Cora and Paris get along well despite Cora having had to hide many things from Paris, like Jude's experiment with her or the fact that she's leaving Earth soon is. But before that, they had to figure out more about the vegetarian alien, and unfortunately, the one who might have more legitimate information about them is Niels, so Cora decided to meet him. Thankfully she did, because despite her reluctance, Niels actually had some good information. He somehow has received photograph on the sister alien race, although not the one in Philippines, but in Ukraine, and it's even dated on before Nicola landed on Earth. Niels apologized and then they each went their own way because Cora had a meeting in Japan. The Philippine government had agreed to share the information they got as long as Ampersand was there to listen to them. An American liaison for their government also had to be there on the meeting because they're the one who did the initial communication, and the one they sent was Sol Kaplan, the CIA agent we all know from the series. They, along with the Philippines agent Kathy Pei, met in Japan to analyze the corpse of the vegetarian that they've acquired, where Cora went back to her old job at translating for Ampersand. Then they decided to go to Philippines to investigate why the alien attacked the village, because they're not mindless monsters despite what the opening of the book might make you think. It's a good expectation subversion. They went to the village and they met the villagers who have gone through so much because they were rounded by the government to keep things a secret. They also met the boy Lorenzo from the start of the book that had a brain tumor. Ampersand could save him if he wanted to, because he can even save Cora, who was almost killed by Obelus in the first book. But Ampersand don't want to start taking control of human life now, since it could lead him to trying to control humanity progress. The thing that Manifest Destiny has done in America, I guess. They then exhumed the bodies of the dead that was killed by the alien so Ampersand could examine them. One of the body was the father of the boy with cancer, and Cora was moved to ask Ampersand to do the surgery on the boy, which thankfully she did, because it led to the family confessing that they buried another alien body, a child alien, most likely the cause of the attack. Revenge. So it's most likely that the vegetarian and human already had an antagonistic view of each other because of this event. But while looking at the body of that alien child, Ampersand trauma got triggered, so they went back to Japan. And it was back in Japan that Ampersand finally told Cora about the event where he lost most of his lovers through assassination, how one of them was caught by the vegetarian and he was made to watch them eat him, and how he survived and finally headed to Earth to find Chevo and met Cora. But vegetarian being there meant that they're even less safe on Earth, so they might have to go to space sooner than they thought, which means Cora had to tell Paris. Paris already knew a little bit from her conversation with Nicola. Still, when Cora confirmed it by telling her about her plan to leave Earth, she reacted in anger and regretted it immediately, but what's done is done. And before she could apologize, the next day the scheduled move for Nicola to another location, which Paris got permission to go with, and it went about as worse as possible. The vegetarian ambushed them during the move, and the location quickly turned into a war zone. While Cora and Ampersand managed to save themselves because the attack there was just a distraction, their real purpose was to capture Nicola. They attacked the plane that carried him along with Paris and Juliana in there, and they managed to tear it apart, taking it down. One moment Paris was taking Nicola's restraint off, and then she was free falling to Earth. And thankfully Nicola managed to get out of his restraint and save her life, but they were unable to escape the vegetarian group and got captured. Cora went to the wreckage to find out more about the fate of Paris, Luciana, and Nicola, and at least found out that Luciana is safe and sound in a hospital. The vegetarian that attacked the plane for some reason saved her and the pilot and co-pilot, which is interesting because it gave them more nuance than either just a victim of genocide or monster born to kill and consume. Paris of course did not just stay quiet in her capture. They put her in a hole without a lid, and she found some bones that she used as a climbing tool and managed to escape. But when she ran, she encountered another alien that started chasing her into a minefield. She found out it was a minefield because her chaser stepped into one and lost their leg. She tried to save them so they didn't bleed out, and she got recaptured because of it. We also got another character perspective beside Cora and Paris. It's Sol Kaplan, the CIA guy. He and Cora team up again in order to find Nicola and Paris. After another meeting with Niels and Cora, he and Cora headed to the totalitarian country Belarusia to investigate their alien intelligence. And in their own way, both Cora and Paris are making progress. Paris to try to break down the cultural barrier by talking with the youth in the vegetarian group with Nicola's help, and Cora in getting closer and closer to where Paris was taken, eventually resulting in the youth seeing Cora near their vicinity and decided to also take her while Sol watched helplessly. But taking Cora was a careless move done by the young aliens. If you remember the first book, Ampersand had placed a tracker on Cora, so they went into panic and attacked Cora, horrifying Paris that saw it from her cell. Korra heard Paris panicking and the adult aliens getting angry at the youth, and then there was chaos, but she managed to get away thanks to Ampersand that was already on his way there. While Korra survived, unfortunately for her, she had no time to rest because the only lead she had on where Paris and Nicola might have been moved was her memory of what the vegetarian was talking about during the chaos where her tracker was found. In order for Ampersand to witness it, they had to finish her high language learning which she had dreaded all this time. She succeeded at learning the high language, but got nothing much out of it for now. But besides learning high language, Ampersand also caught a young vegetarian and he will interrogate them with the help of his Peras. Meanwhile, Sol, who thought that Korra is dead, found evidence that Neil has used her own daughter to threaten Café for the CIA dead information to buy his way back to America with the current president. The only way he could use this information to reveal the truth is to find a journalist that he can trust will do the story justice, and the only one he knows is Paris. So he went back to work to find her. He managed to find a lead, but the American soldier that is coming with him took them all out and burned the rest of them because that's what they were trained to do. Shoot first and don't bother asking questions later. Eventually though, all three groups, Korra, Paris, and Sol, managed to work something out on their end and together they saved Paris. Korra also managed to uncover what her dad and the new president did to her and Café and how they manipulated information for their own sake. They will still have power, but at least not on respectable places and people. Sol also decided to quit the evil organization that is the CIA and goes on retirement. But before that, he managed to place a will in Korra. A will to maybe start taking control of things instead of letting people like Niels and the president to steer the direction where humanity is headed, thus concluding the third book of the New Mena series. Story still goes on, so it's not a trilogy, but I think we are getting closer to the end of the story from how far the character have progressed, unless if the author suddenly wanted to take the story outside of Earth, which I don't think she will. And for the book itself, this is the best of the series so far. I like how the capability of the aliens on Earth are much more defined now, where in the previous book they felt more abstract. In this book we know more about the limits of what they can and cannot do, which makes the story much more consistent. The theme about not putting group of people as a monolith without any variety still goes strong and is unfortunately still needed in our life because even some of us, despite having 8 billion people, still try to put them in small categories that fit in one hand. The progress of the character is also done well, with Korra at the end of the book confronting Niels in the most public way possible when in the past she would not be able to. And the character's chemistry between her and Paris and Niels are also much more defined now compared to previous book, where a lot of them felt more like a side character compared to Korra. I do hope Korra's aunt Juliana got a chance to shine more because she had some major part in all three books, but we have yet to see the world through her perspective. But that's a story for another day. For now, I give this a 4.5. What do you think? Let me know if I miss anything, so leave your thought in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it. See ya.